I'm Judy Cleary. I'm one of the board members out here at the Beaver County Industrial Museum. Here we have HC Fry Glass Company, and this is the one I know the most about. This is the one I've been collecting for 30-some years. Mr. Fry, head of the company, was involved in the glass industry from when he was 16 years old on. He came to Pittsburgh when he was 16. Pittsburgh was the center of the glass industry from about the 1840s, 1850s. And so he was working in the Pittsburgh industry. He served in the Civil War, came back to Pittsburgh and worked in the glass industry some more. And about the mid-1870s, he and a couple of other people came upriver, formed a company called Rochester Tumbler Company. It sat down along the Ohio River there in Rochester. It was a huge glass concern, but we know next to nothing about it. It basically employed a lot of people in Beaver County. It produced 900 dozen tumblers a week. That's a lot of glasses. About the only thing we have in the case is the very bottom beside the pitcher, on the right of the pitcher. That is a liquid measure that was made at Rochester Tumbler. And you can still find those. They must have made hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. But you can still find those in antique stores on occasion. But we really don't have paperwork from them so we can say, oh, they made this or they made that. We really don't know. Anyway, in 1901, Rochester Tumbler burnt. It was a very devastating fire. Almost the entire complex went down. The people that owned it, Mr. Fry included, but there were others, were slow in deciding what they were going to do about rebuilding. So Mr. Fry and his two sons decided they're going to build their own glass company, which they did. They built it in North Rochester off of 68 as you're going out towards New Brighton and that area, off to the left on the hillside that goes down eventually to the river. It became known as the H.C. Fry Glass Company, and in its day it was considered one of the biggest and most modern glass companies in the country, possibly in the world. They started out making glass legs for the cut glass industry, and that was very popular. They not only cut them themselves, but they sold them all over the country. So cut glass collectors and cut glass researchers estimate that 30% of the cut glass that was made in this time period, from roughly 1902, 1903, up until the World War I, cut glass wasn't popular too much after World War I, but they figure about 30% of the cut glass made in this country in that time period was actually, the blanks themselves were actually made by the Fry Company in Rochester. They cut a lot of them themselves too. This is all bona fide Fry cut glass, but they sold these things all over the place too. So even if you're a cut glass collector but don't collect Fry, you still have Fry glass blanks in your collections because they sold them to other companies. From the cut glass, they went into the etched ware work, and they had done a lot of this at Rochester Tumbler. Our lights don't really show the beauty of the etched work. That's a very labor-intensive process. I'll show you one of the tumblers just so you can see. Go ahead and feel it. How fine an etching is on that. And basically what they do, they make the glass, they ink paper with the pattern on it. They had all different size plates for the different size glasses. They would wrap the paper around and press it really tight to get the pattern on the glass. And then they would use like a wax mixture, beeswax and some other things. And they would paint all around it except for where the pattern was. So that when they dipped the glass in the acid, the only place the acid would eat would be where that pattern was. Everything else on the glass would be protected. This is a double process etching. Basically, the first time they dipped it, you would just get the outlines. Then on the second process, women would sit there with tiny little paintbrushes, use a different kind of acid mixture, and paint it on the insides of the flowers and by the leaves there to get that matte kind of effect, then they would dip it again. Well, actually, they didn't have to dip it again because this was actually a type of acid too. And it, again, would give you that matte finish just where they used the paintbrushes and put it on. Then they had to clean it. Can you imagine doing that all day? But that is, their etchware is very prized. Their patterns are extremely involved. Before you leave, take a look at the Skeisha Girl pattern here, just to try and imagine doing that on a piece of glass for etching.
Yeah.
So they did beautiful, like lemonade sets, beverage sets, that kind of thing. From there, they started experimenting with kitchenware or bakeware, glass bakeware. Up until this time, you didn't have such things. You used metal, you used the heavy pottery, but there was no such thing as glass bakeware. And so they started testing it in their kitchens in Rochester, or in their plant in Rochester. They'd make a batch, they'd literally give it to the workmen, say, take it home to your wives, let them use it for a certain period of time, and then come back and tell us what they think. Did it smell? Did they not like the way the food came out? All those different, did it heat too hot? All those different things. Did it break? And so experimenting with coming up with first glass bakeware. Their first glass bakeware looked like this. The clear with just a little bit of the green hue. And they got into a patent battle because Corning Glassworks in Corning, New York, was also experimenting with glass bakeware. And they got into a patent battle with Corning, and they battled each other, but then they realized that if they would cooperate and use each other's patents, they'd come up with a much better product. And so that's what they did, and one of the compromises was Fry's couldn't look like theirs looked, and theirs looked like this. And their company was the Pyrex Glass Company, and I'm sure you both have Pyrex baked glass in your kitchens.
Oh, I have a lot of Pyrex.
And it still looks like that.
Yeah.
She's a big Pyrex
cook in. It's great to bake in, just as Fry's. I mean, it's still, but the difference is it has this milky look. Now theirs usually is marked Fry oven glass or someplace on it. It's actually part of the mold. Okay. So, but if you find some, well, you won't because you've got all Pyrex. But if you find it, you certainly can bake in it. It's still good to bake in.